I don't know, but I got a press conference at 3:45 at the University of Florida. So
And I don't know what that.
I
That's
don't know
right. The
what
new
that's gonna be about.
the bowling team is going to announce something.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob Brown in Memphis. It is cold. We may even get some wintry precipitation today. Brendan Martin in Ocala, Florida, where it's always gorgeous and beautiful, and it's an outdoor town. We got a lot to cover today. Coach Ellis Johnson will join us momentarily. Coach Pete Cordelli later in the broadcast. Dave Bartoo, College Football Matrix, will check in with us.
Questions for that guy.
And Frank Duffy is going to weigh in. Boy, was he right. We scooped him 2 weeks ago on this show. Frank Duffy said that he put his reputation on the line as a fire dancer, that Kiffin was going to LSU, and he was, as they say in the South in the country, he was by God right on that one. And you know what? There were a lot of coaching changes. We're going to cover them. Do us a favor. Take a picture of us with your phone of the QR code. We're broadcasting live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You don't realize how big Facebook is, but most of our audience, and a lot of people, more than I ever dreamed of, are watching on Facebook, and we cannot thank you enough. It means the world to us. When someone says, hey, you're doing a good job, that makes me want to work 10 times harder, because the only easy day was yesterday. And our executive producer, Brendan Martin, is putting out information nonstop on this channel. We got 8 shows, morning, midday, and night. We did a pop-up show yesterday. Oh, that was powerful stuff. But let's get started here on this Monday, December 1st. It's going to be a December to remember. Pete, it's unbelievable. You know, Ryan Silverfield has gone to Arkansas.
Yes.
Alex Golish takes the Auburn job. I wanted John Sumrall so bad at Auburn. I was like, wow, I just think I've watched his career through John Hartwell, knows him so well. And then you had Kiffin going to LSU. It's just mind numbing. So, you know, Arkansas, Auburn, got Golish, Kiffin, LSU, Sumrall, and I think Brad White might be leaving, the defensive coordinator from Kentucky. And that's the guy that's caused Kiffin and a lot of coaches a lot of trouble. He just doesn't have the horses. But Pete, let's get started with the Kiffin. And Frank Duffy's going to join us for a few minutes to kind of wrap it up. But you were there when Tommy Tuberville left to go to Auburn from Ole Miss. And I remember asking Coach Tuberville one time, is there any right way to do it? And I don't know if there is or not, but before we let's get started, Pete, talk about the way Kiffin left, because I'm not an Ole Miss graduate, but I got a lot of Ole Miss friends, and I love them. They're some of the best people I've ever known. Nobody deserves this kind of shit. I don't like it.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, I did Ole Miss football on the radio for 14 years. My youngest daughter graduated from there. Dr. Kayat, Pete Boone, they were great to me and my family.
Yep.
And I have a special spot in my heart for Ole Miss as well. This deal with Lane Kiffin was done last Tuesday night, but they had to keep it quiet because of the Egg Bowl. But 2 good friends of mine in Baton Rouge called me and said, "Here's the deal: 7 years, $94 million over the deal. It's 14 to 14.5 million. Plus they guaranteed 25 to 30 million for the NIL roster." Now that one's a little touchy because you can't go outside to do the NIL thing. But you know what? It doesn't matter. The Midnight Riders are flying throughout the country right now. I mean, that one number that was set, that's all being broken in a lot of places. So forget all that. You have to be careful in coaching with your words because words matter. And words matter to young people. When you recruit guys and say, come here and let's do something that's never been done before, make the playoffs, get to the SEC championship game, which Ole Miss has never done, win a national championship, which Ole Miss has not done. Those players buy in and believe you. And then all of a sudden it's, the head coach is going to LSU and those players are saying, hey, coach, wait a minute. We believed in you. We believed in your message. We came to Ole Miss to number one, win an SEC championship, and they were a fumble away from doing that on Saturday night. We are going to be in the playoffs because we have the best record in school history at 11-1, something that's never been done here. We bought in, and now we have a chance to go win the national championship. Yet you're leaving for LSU, and then you have Nick Saban on Saturday saying, "Well, LSU's a better job because you can recruit better athletes." And it's like, wait a minute, that's your mentor. What about us? We came here to play for you. Rob, all my years around the sport, my dad used to say it every day. One group you never fool are the players. They know who they can trust, and they know who's full of crap. They know who's a phony.
Yeah.
And that's why Kiffin coming out saying, "Well, I want to impact lives." You just impacted lives in a not so positive way. But head coaches have mouthpieces out there. Long time ago, the skywriters used to go around and they'd get on a plane and they'd go here and they'd go there. Well, Frank Broyles had a guy at Arkansas by the name of Orville Henry. Orville Henry was his mouthpiece. All right. Coach Dye had it at Auburn. Coach Bryant had it at Alabama. The guys at Georgia, they have a certain sports writer that they send a message to their team and their fans through.
Yep.
Nick Saban is that guy for Lane Kiffin right now. Yet Nick Saban fired Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
But the one thing I don't see in all this, Jimmy Sexton held all the cards. Yeah. Jimmy Sexton got all these jobs done. Sumrall's going to Florida. Golish is going to Auburn, who I think is a great hire. I got to know Alex when he was the offensive coordinator at Tennessee. He'd come to Nashville once, twice a week. I mean, recruiting guys when we were at Lipscomb Academy. But the way Lane Kiffin went about this was, well, if we win the Egg Bowl, and then when Texas beat Texas A&M, it's like, all I need is for Auburn to beat Alabama. And we're going to do something we've never done. We're going to go to Atlanta. So I'm going to put this press conference off. I said all week, my question to Kiffin would be not, are you going? What time on Saturday are you going to have the press conference? Because I believed all along he was waiting on the Alabama-Auburn game. And the way Auburn came out in the second half and Alabama got away from the run in the third quarter and Auburn's starting to make plays. And look, you guys know you've been in it. You've been involved with it. Crazy things happened in that game. And Keon Crawford, the kid from Memphis, whose father, X-Man Crawford, played it. But I saw Keon. I saw Keon
at Arkansas State
for years at Arkansas State. And he's just doing the same things that he did. I mean, what a special player. But Kiffin knew he was going to try to coach the Ole Miss team. If Auburn had beat Alabama, he wanted to coach against Georgia in the SEC championship game. Lane's about Lane. That's not changing. I don't care how many yoga classes you go to. I don't care how much you do that. When the bottom line is, his buddy Ed Ogeron talked him into the LSU deal along with Jimmy. 7 years, $94 million, 14.5. God bless you. You're getting your money. It's always hard to leave a place. But when you tell those players, come here, we're going to do things that have never been done. And then all of a sudden, those players are looking at you and going, Coach, we did everything you asked us to do. Why is the LSU job better now than what Ole Miss is? Why can't you stay here and see us through this?
Yeah.
There's some pissed off players right now and again, every relationship's built on trust. Kiffin broke the trust again.
Yeah.
That's his track record.
Yeah. It's
what's best for Lane. This wasn't a money situation. He's got more money. He's got all the money he wants. Saban and Pete Carroll, Ed Ogeron, and Jimmy Sexton all talked him into leaving for LSU.
Yeah. Coach Johnson, I know you leave, and I've left before going from one company to another, and it was well worth it. I mean, but you're leaving till you're not. But you know, one thing, zebras don't change their stripes. They just change their watering holes. People don't really change much, do they? Even if they take hot yoga classes.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't disagree with anything. I came in late, so I didn't hear it all, but I can't disagree with anything that Pete has said. I will say this. I think the circumstances were about 75% of it. Lane's 25% of it. He's not really doing anything John Sumrall's not doing. He's just handled it worse. And I think that some of the things he said along the way and all that, we know that probably 60, 70% of these coaches that move, they lie for 2 or 3 weeks until they're gone because they can't tell the truth.
Yeah.
Why is Lane different? Because everybody that, they don't like Lane personally. He didn't fix the portal. He didn't invent the playoffs. He didn't decide when the signing date was going to be moved to December. He didn't decide there'd be only one portal and it'd be in January in the first week. He didn't create any of the things that really complicate these decisions now. And he said something the other day, and we've sat here and said things like this on this podcast and on other radio shows. I've said it. Kids today don't have a lot of loyalty because of the NIL and the portal.
Yep.
If Ole Miss had gone 7-5 this year, how many kids would be jumping in the portal trying to get them some money at somewhere else? Hell, some of them might end up at LSU. I just, I don't like the way he handled it. I don't like some of the things that he says, but that's personality. That's not, this thing is so screwed up, and it's college football today. And I don't know if there's any right way to have done it. He probably didn't do a whole lot of things right. But every one of these coaches that are moving right now, they're doing about the same thing. You say, well, hell, some of them ain't in the national championship playoff because they're at schools that'll never be in the national championship playoff. So I don't know. I just have a little different take on it. I think it's a two-way street. And I think, 30 years ago, 100% of his team probably would have been recruited out of high school, maybe a few JUCO transfers in there, but they stayed at that school the whole time. Well, you can't say that about that roster anymore. Those kids are hunting for money too, and they're hunting for the best place to fit their scheme and their system. And it's just a little bit of that on both sides. And what I don't like about it is that's what we have today for the world of college football.
Yeah, Ellis Johnson and Pete Cordelli, two of the best takes you'll hear anywhere. I agree with you, and it is. These kids are hunting for money, Pete. Let's switch, and because Frank Duffy's going to join us in a few minutes to give kind of an LSU deep insider. John Sumrall. I mean, we did a pop-up show on this channel yesterday. Buddy Martin, John Hartwell, Lauren Meadows, Brendan, and me. People calling, Sumrall hire a disaster. Same thing as Billy Napier. I mean, they're different people. What's your take on John Sumrall? I think that's who I wanted at Auburn. I'm nothing against Alex Golish. I've just been a Sumrall fan since Hartwell started telling me about him 4 years ago.
I think the world of John Sumrall. And here's my take on Sumrall, Golish, and Silverfield. You're going from a group of 5 schools to a Power 4 conference. That's a whole different deal than Lane Kiffin going from Ole Miss to LSU. When we got into coaching, we wanted to coach at the highest level. We started out I started out as a graduate assistant, but I also coached at some lower level schools to try to build my resume, build my network, get other places. Tulane, group of 5. South Florida, group of 5. Memphis, group of 5, who's been trying to get into the Big 12 and they can't do it. In coaching, you want to coach at the highest level, which is the Power 4. I don't blame those guys one bit. They're getting in the best conference in the country, in the SEC. That, to me, that says volumes about what they've done and how they've done it. Yeah. This is different than going from Power 4 to Power 4 and how you do it. You have a chance to go and coach in the best conference at some of the best schools with tradition. Auburn's got a great tradition. Arkansas, I coached there twice. They got great tradition. They just haven't done it in a while. And Florida, my gosh, guys. I mean, we know how. So for them to take that next step, I credit them. It's Eric Morris going from North Texas to Oklahoma State. The group of four is, the group of five is going to get left out. They're going to get one team into the playoffs. So when you have a chance to not only improve your family situation with that money, but your professional status going from a lower level, which they are, lower level schools to a Power 4 school, that's huge. That's what we got into coaching for, was to coach at the highest level to see if we could get it done. Sumrall going to Florida, totally different, man. I'm going to tell you, he's going to work his tail off at recruiting. It's not going to be the Dan Mullen deal where I only recruit, during recruiting and all that stuff. Sumrall's going to be recruiting 24/7, 365. But it's Florida. It's not Tulane. Alex Golish is going to do a hell of a job because he knows from being at Tennessee. He started out as a GA at Ohio State. He wanted to get back to a group of four school. He was a GA at Ohio State at one time. He knows what it's like in the big time. And there is a definite distinction between big time football. Football's football. But when you're in a group of four in the power conferences, that's huge. Golish is going to do a great job at Auburn. He knows that from being at Tennessee. Ryan Silverfield, he has done an unbelievable job of maintaining that Memphis program.
Yeah.
And the levels it's at. Now you go to Arkansas, and the fans can be upset all they want. They're getting one hell of a football coach in Ryan Silverfield in Fayetteville, who's going to work it. They're going to be tough. They're going to be well coached, and they're going to play complementary football on all three phases. See, I don't have a problem with Sumrall going from Tulane, with Golish going from South Florida. I mean, Jim Leavitt did the best job at South Florida, and he goes on. Was he going to Kansas State? Was he going to Colorado? There are divisions in college football of the top schools and the lower level schools. And that's why you heard Tom Osborne, Jackie Sherrill years ago say, we're going to go to a super conference. We're going to go to the top 64 teams. Well, guess what? Arkansas, Auburn, Florida are in those top 64. You get a chance to go coach at those schools? Hell yeah. And the other thing that's going to happen, I believe Stoops is getting fired at Kentucky. I think Will Stein from Oregon is coming to be the Kentucky coach.
Yeah, here's what I just got from a very good source. Okay, Stein could be going to Kentucky. Will Stein, offensive coordinator at Oregon. Tosh Lupoy to Cal.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon could lose both coordinators. Ellis Johnson, you've been a coordinator. Pete, you both have. You've been head coaches too. Ellis, your take on the Florida job, the Arkansas job. We talked about LSU, and Frank Duffy will join us in a minute. And the Auburn job, Alex Golish. I mean, I had people texting me and going, Alex Golish to Auburn? I said, ask Ellis Johnson. He's from Brooklyn. He's from Russia. I said, yeah, and he came here with $100 to his name, and he fought through all the hell he had to go through to get where he is. I want a guy like that because I don't think anybody will outwork him, just like Ryan Silverfield. But your take, Coach Johnson.
Well, I think they're all good hires. I don't know these coaches as well as Pete. I've been out of it, 15 years and in any capacity, not broadcast or anything. But so I don't know them. I can't speak on, educated evaluations or anything like that. But I think they're all good hires. And I think fan bases are getting now, it's just like we talked about the other week before these hirings were done. It seemed like all they were doing was looking for other head coaches from other schools.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Swapping wives like the NFL. But it just, there are a lot of coordinators out there. I can't remember who first said it, and I keep repeating it. Everybody's probably tired of hearing it. Kirby Smart never was a head coach before he was head coach at Georgia. He got national championships. Ryan Day was never a head coach before he was head coach at Ohio State. He got a national championship. Who's the other? Dabo was not he was never even a coordinator before he got the head coach at Clemson. He's got 2 national championships. You don't have to have been a head coach, to be a good head coach. And then you got a good metric if you see a guy do it right. But, you can make some great hires without having to go out and take somebody else as coach. So I think they're all good hires, and time will tell.
Yeah.
The first question that we ought to talk about it, I hate it, but it's true. How much you going to put in my NIL? Mm-hmm. Don't worry about how much you're paying them. All these guys in Power 4 make enough money, they won't ever be able to spend it. How much money is going to be in NIL budget? And if I tell you after the second year we got to have another $10 million, will we get it? Put it in writing. That's all it is anymore, guys. It's buying players.
Yeah, Coach Johnson, I'm sort of in shock at just the stupidity of a lot of people out there too. They're not getting it. And you hadn't been out that long, but I sure wish both of y'all were still in coaching, because nothing. If you want to impact somebody's life, be tough on them. I mean, any coach or teacher I've ever had was not. I mean, I went to Christian Brothers, Pete, back in the day when it was a physical experience.
Yeah.
I mean, you wore a tie.
I got 10 knuckles that are broke.
That's right. From
Sister Marie used to take that metal ruler, brother. Stick those hands out. Whack.
Hey, I used to fall asleep in my Spanish class, and Miss Sala would come over and whack me with a ruler on the knuckles and go, "Wake up, Senor Brown. You'll catch up on your sleep when you are dead." And I'd go, God, yeah. But what I'm seeing here, guys, and Frank Duffy should join us here momentarily. Dave Bartoo in a minute. Dave and I have been talking or texting every day. I don't think he knew where he was the other day. He was in a hotel somewhere. He goes, "I'm busier," I like to say, than a one-legged man in a kick fight. But both of y'all are nailing it. It's like you can build all the brick and mortar facilities you want, but then we've got Frank Duffy. Frank's going to come on here for about 8 or 10 minutes and kind of, Frank, first off, you were dead right 2 weeks ago, and all the national guys were all kind of whispering, going, "We have it on good accord that you were born Nathan Huffines. Any reason you changed your name to Nathan Arizona? Would you buy furniture from a store called Unpainted Huffines?" Remember that, raised in Arizona?
I do.
Frank, how are you?
I'm doing great today, boys. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I'm having a very, very good day over here. Here's the old saying. What do they say, coaches? If you know, you know. And in our state of Louisiana, it ain't what you know, it's who you know. And there was a lot of information that I was privy to that I could not disclose my sources, but this thing was a done deal for a long time. Mm-hmm. As I mentioned, Knox Kiffin had been enrolled in U-High right on the grounds of LSU for a couple of weeks. We knew that. We knew the agreement had been put in place for the amount of NIL money that we're going to be spending every year. That had already been agreed upon. All that was up was Jimmy Sexton and some of his gyrations. The poor Florida people had to get the news. They just hadn't looked down to see the toe tag yet, but it was down there. And the Ole Miss people, look, I'm sorry, but if you have the ability of running your team out on the floor of Tiger Stadium on a Saturday night in the fall, there's nothing like it. And that's what Lane Kiffin saw. And I think he was looking. He knew the money was going to be the same wherever it was. He just said, where am I going to have the best opportunity to get in the best talent? Where am I going to have the best commitment, the deepest pockets to do it? And am I going to have the type of fan base that's going to be willing to back our play? And look, guys, I've already had to get out my old LSU black national championship hat for 2019 because, look, I'm embracing the villain role. Everybody's got us now as the black hat riding in. I'm cool with that. Hey, man, we've lived through the pain of losing Nick Saban. You think mustard bottles and golf balls and some slurs are going to deter us? We've already lived through hell and back. We watched Alabama win all of our national championships. No, it is a great day to be an LSU Tiger. This guy is an offensive genius. And if you've watched my offense the last 2 years since Jaden Daniels left New York, you know we needed help on the offensive side. I'm excited that he is in the process of keeping our defensive staff because I think Baker and his team, I hope we keep Corey Raymond. I hope we keep Davis as a recruiting coordinator. Frank Wilson deserves to stay on as well. I think he's going to assemble a fantastic coaching cadre. I think the sky's the limit. And look, Lane gets us, and Lane is a smart cat. right? He handles things the right way. We did not have that with his immediate predecessor. If you could have put your foot in it with the immediate predecessor, he did do it. Lane is a shrewd dude, and having the resources at LSU, having the fact that we have a brand new president. By the way, I can't give all of my my sources. It went very, very high up to the top. Our new president from McNeese, I think, is willing to do what it takes to make our athletic department as successful as we can be. I think Verge Osbury hit a home run right out the gate as an AD, though we're hearing other rumors on particular ADs that might be wanting to come after their run on ESPN is done. So there's a lot going on at LSU today. We have only had, my friends in New Orleans have only called the Red Bean Summit 4 times to my knowledge. It was the Monday after winning our 3 national championships, the ones that we were alive with. I just missed 58 by a couple of years. And the day after the Saints won the Super Bowl. There is another Red Bean Summit that has been called for Mandinas today at lunchtime to talk about the success that we've just had. And I'm telling you what, confidence, I repeat, is high. Confidence is high in Baton Rouge.
Well, Frank, look, Ellis, I think you got a question maybe about what Frank was 2 weeks ago saying this. Nothing beats going to a hunting club in Louisiana and hearing some chat, Ellis.
But Bartoo was on last week and said they're all settled.
Yes, right. He did. 3 out of the 4 he did was say was settled.
Now, and the way they dropped after they let Lane, I guess Saxon was in charge, they had to let Lane do his thing. And all of them dropped. Boom, 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 boom. They were all done already.
Yep.
He could have changed his mind about something. Who knows the way he is. Something may have got him cold feet. No, I don't know. But
Ellis, there was always that opportunity, and we knew that. That was the longest week. If you noticed, LSU, by the way, you haven't heard from our governor in 3 weeks. They had him gagged in the coat closet.
Is he still with us?
I have on good authority former LSU Tiger Ben Bordelon, a great player for the Tigers and also a political heavyweight here in Louisiana. I think had come to Jesus with the governor, and you never heard from him again. We were kind of worried about radio silence last week. There was a lot of silence. But like I said, for those that knew, it was just a matter of time. And of course, the big sticking point after, and by the way, I was right all weekend. I had Texas beating Texas A&M. Remember, Rob, on the thing. So I'm on a roll. I got to get to Vegas, man. I'm on a hot streak. But listen. Here was the thing. Lane is a chess player. He had to wait to see what happened in the Iron Bowl before he made that decision. Because, I don't think he would have been able to get the playoffs out of Ole Miss, but he might have gotten a trip to Atlanta out of them. And from what I understand, LSU was going to be willing that if Auburn, if the boys from Birmingham wouldn't have stepped in, I think Auburn, wins that ball game, and then Lane has a shot to coach for an SEC title. And I do think that the Ole Miss brass would have given him that opportunity. They would have given him a week. They wasn't going to give him all the way being the LSU coach through the playoffs. But I think he could have gotten a trip to Atlanta out of it. But Alabama won, and once that happened, it was a done deal. It was just a matter of lining up the planes and getting the jet fuel in them.
Yeah, Pete, you got another question, and then we'll let Frank go. We got Dave Bartoo about to join us. God only knows where Dave is. He's probably in a plane somewhere, but he will come on. But anyway, this is great stuff, and thank you, Frank, for coming in with us.
Yep.
Coat of arms in the background, as it is.
Hey, Frank,
Hey, Coach.
the silence was Jimmy Sexton orchestrating that. And Jimmy told him not to say anything because the more said, then the more problems there were.
Yep.
But I just want to say this. Thank goodness your new chancellor, who came from McNeese, didn't get his way and bring the athletic director from McNeese with him, or the governor would still be talking about that today.
Yeah.
So thank goodness you got it finalized with Verge, who's going. But that guy, what are you thinking? I want to bring my AD from McNeese. Come on, man. You know what? That might have been a deal breaker for for Lane.
Well, it could have been. And look, Verge is an LSU guy.
Oh, yeah.
I got to tell you a funny story, Coach, before Dave comes on and I'm going to drop off. I used to run bars at LSU. Go figure. Louisiana guy owning bars, right? Right out of Central Casting, right? I used to own bars at LSU, and I ran bars. And after a game, I think it was 1988, as I'm leaving the bar late at night, the Tigers had played that night. It might have even been the game that we lost against, who was it? Miami of Ohio. It was a weird night. And I'm leaving my bar at 3:00 in the morning. We've closed down. And I'm driving down Nicholson right past the stadium. And my car breaks down on my way to my thing. I get a flat. It's not a total flat, but it's going down. And I have to pull over. A guy pulls up behind me. Two guys get out of their car. They help me push my car about 1/8 of a mile. I'm telling you, it's a long way to get to a place where I could be safe to change my tire, which I did. That young man was Verge Osbury, who did that. That's the type of guy that Verge Osbury is. I love him as an AD. I think he bleeds purple and gold. And he was the first person when Lane got off that plane in the tarmac. He was the first person there to greet him, shake his hand, put his arm around him. No, Verge is a wonderful guy. I do like our new president. I think everything is pointing up for LSU right now. I got to get my boy Dave to get with Verge so we can make sure these hires on our assistant coaches are good hires. But other than that, man, somehow the red beans and rice just taste better on a Monday when things are going well in Baton Rouge. And
Hey, Frank, I have a T-shirt I'm going to send you.
All right.
We're keeping receipts. I'll see you at the Natty.
Hey, man. By the way, Brian who? There's shit. That's like long gone. And look, you're not going to see Lane dancing with any recruiting videos.
Family.
Yeah. No, you're not going to see that. I promise you that. There will be no pictures looking like it's, with Studio 51 with Lane doing the smoke dance. That ain't happening. He's a chess player.
Duffy, you're coming back on during the week. Awesome reporting. I love it. You kicked ass on this one. Thank you.
Yeah, baby. Hey, we're wearing our villain hat, the black hat. Tigers, man, don't mess with us. And by the way, get your mustard ready, Ole Miss. We're coming next year.
The only color that matters is green.
Yeah, you're right there, brother. Well, hey, that was going to be
Don't worry
even.
about the red beans and the black hats. Get the green back.
That's right. Hey, nobody, and that thing was going to be matched, Coach Ellis. You know that was going to be matched by all three of them. There's no doubt about that. Whoever was going to win this, they were going to have the top money.
Not salary. Not salary. Get the player money out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no doubt. Well, hey, and look, Coach, there's two things that are going to come out of the reason why he absolutely came like we thought he was coming. Number one, it was Nick Saban saying that's exactly where you need to go. That will come out. And number two, because I know privy to the conversation. And number two, it's the fact that we stepped up and guaranteed the NIL money, the player money going forward. And let me tell you something. You put our recruiting net in Louisiana on top of the cash, on top of the fact that we have great recruiters already in our building, Wilson and Davis being two of them, and with Lane coming in, guys, we're going to have a hell of a lineup at LSU, and there's no excuses that we can't win championships.
You're missing the X factor.
What's that?
Eddie O's back. Lane's best buddy. Ogeron's back.
Hey, listen, I'm going to have to make up with him because I was mad at him. He took his eyes off the prize after that confetti started dropping. And Eddie O was spending more time out at the pool than he was the facility. So as long as we can correct that, we'll be good. He got too much of a tan.
The pool. That's so bad. Tell the truth. The pool.
Well,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, nice diversion there, Frankie.
Yeah, and there were a few other obstacles that were keeping his eye off other things.
Well, Frank, we're going to get back into that this week. Thank you so much for awesome reporting. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, take care.
It's a gummy Monday. I got to tell you something. I got my package the other day. These are the night lights out gummies. These are the chill gummies. These are the energy gummies. Man, those things are awesome. And also the roll-on, the hemp roll-on, and then this is the lotion right here. I used this on my shoulder injury. Dave, I was trying that other stuff that's hot and icy that burns like someone's got a torch next to your shoulder. This stuff is cool, easy to deal with. and I was chilling while I was hurting. And then all of a sudden the pain went away. So, guys, hempforpros.com, Dave Bartoo, College Football Matrix joins us. And I know you have been busy. First off, thank you more than you know for sharing your time with us every week. Sometimes you do it twice a week. Let her rip, because a lot of people want to hear the Bartooisms.
Well, which way are we going this morning? I mean, Frank, in 4 hours, Frank's going to have to go to the doctor, because that thing's still going to still be diamonds, So Frank is ready to go today, and it's cool to see the college football roller coaster. I'm fortunate enough to be in the room with Ellis and Pete, who have had their shares of football gods in college football, taking them up and taking them down. And I think LSU is a good lesson for all college football fans, and it's one that I subscribe to: is never act like you've been there. Always storm the field. You don't know when you're going back. You're there. You don't know when it's going to get taken away from you. You just cash every check the football gods give and be thankful for it, because the downtime is coming. LSU right now has their uptime. Lane was the highest graded guy available. So was Brian Kelly 3 years ago. Okay. But as I've said, from a staffing standpoint, it's two different things. Brian Kelly, good head coach, had a really good offensive coordinator, a guy named Mike Dembrock. Mike Dembrock currently has the #1 scoring efficiency offense in college football, just not at LSU. And it took him 2 years to get Blake Baker up and running, and LSU would have had a top 10 defense this year. You can't tell me. I know that Frank is going off about Brian Kelly and how bad he was, and don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. But if Brian Kelly holds on to Mike Dembrock and gets Blake Baker day one, we're talking about LSU having a bye today, not a new head coach. That's how razor thin college football can be. But with LSU, you don't have to worry about the OC, because they got one of the 5 best in the country in Lane already. And Lane left his DC behind. Good God, can you imagine if Lane gets to keep the entire defensive staff intact at LSU, which means he gets to keep the defensive roster intact? Yeah, this thing's ready to go. And I think all the guys in the room right now would agree. LSU, who in the last 10 years has the 3rd most starts in the NFL, is a walking national championship contender. They just got to get their crap together on the coaching side. And every guy they have is pretty much batshit crazy and has been able to get his stuff together good enough for 1 year. Les Miles, crazy as hell, got it together for 1 year, won a national title. Ed Orgeron, I will never in my lifetime understand the complex math it took for Ed Orgeron to win a national title. It just doesn't even, it's like me breathing, it's like me stepping out of a rocket ship on Mars with nothing but shorts and being able to breathe and live. It's just not comprehensible. That guy was so bad at Ole Miss and the rest of his stops. It is unbelievable. So I do agree. LSU is cookie cutter ready to go, but not so fast if Blake Baker gets the Tulane job, because that's where he's an alumni from. And I think he's proven himself at 2 SEC stops good enough for Tulane to walk over and go, you want to come back to your alma mater? And I think Pete and Ellis would probably agree. A guy who gets the shot at being a head coach's alma mater is going back to his alma mater.
Yeah. Dave, let me ask you something. Boy, I've heard the term BSC, batshit crazy, used on 1 or 2 of my ex-girlfriends. But I love that term. It's true. Dave, I want your thoughts on Sumrall to Florida, Golish to Auburn, Silverfield to Arkansas. Oh, no. Come on now. Now, what do you think?
Once Lane went to LSU a month ago, that's literally how long it's been, folks. Come on. It's just, that's how long it's been. All this stuff has been done for weeks. One of the reasons I was late this morning, I was working on filling the unit for one of the head coaches that got announced as hired this week. Okay. He already has his OC. He already has his DC. We're working on unit staff already. That's how far down the road. So rule of thumb, by the time you hear about it, it's 2 or 3 weeks old, folks. Okay, that's just an easy one. Don't feel bad. This is the way it has to be, right? This is the way it has to be. And before I get into John Sumrall, the reason this is the way it has to be is look at Mark Stoops. Okay, he was on a plane. He got caught going on another date. Busted, right? And now it's all finally come to fruition, and he got fired. But it's never over till it's over. And this is one of the reasons why a guy like Lane or anybody else doesn't come out and say, yeah, I've had a lot of contact with LSU, and I'm 99% certain I'm going there. It's that 1% Mark Stoops that bites you in the ass, and you don't want to commit until the ink's dry. And so that's the reason you get that. Sumrall, look, I've heard a ton of Gator fans, and nothing against these folks, but the really low and tough literacy issues, they have a hard time reading and understanding things, simply compare John Sumrall to Billy Napier because they both came out of the group of 6.
Brendan Martin, are you listening, Brendan Martin?
Now, Brendan likes Sumrall.
No. I actually talked. I was making a huge liquor delivery last night, and I actually talked to Brendan when I was driving, and we actually talked about this. So a lot of the stuff I'll touch on, I've already gone over with Brendan with this, but I specifically wanted to say, look, this is not the same thing. Okay, you got a guy in Sumrall that's had 2 different stops, not one. You've got a guy in Sumrall that I shouldn't say has had to work harder, but when you come out of the Saban family of coaching, you get some extra benefits in terms of his support, in terms of everybody thinking you're that much better because you worked underneath him, kind of like guys in Sean McVay right now. Unless you're Kurt Cignetti and you have a beef with Nick Saban and he doesn't support you at all, and you end up being the best of the entire freaking bunch, you keep being you, Cignetti. Stick it to all of them on your way up. So with Napier, at the time he was hired, he was on paper the second best risk in the cycle behind Brian Kelly. And I'm leaving Lincoln Riley out of there because he really wasn't available. Lincoln Riley to USC was done before there was, that's where he wanted to go. Okay, that was it. So Napier was best available. And Sumrall appears to be best available too, because Eli, who I personally thought when the job came open, the first guy that came into our mind was Eli Drinkwitz, in terms of his success, in terms of his ability. But with Sumrall, you got a CEO. Okay, so you got a guy that is going to go get an OC and a DC. I think he's much less likely to reinvent the wheel. Billy, right off the bat, tried to be somebody different. When he hired 2 offensive line coaches to wear headsets right at the beginning, I mean, my team was on the phone to me and they were like, can you believe what just happened? And it just told us he was trying to reinvent the wheel. He was trying to reinvent himself from day one, and it didn't work. And then his second big mistake is bringing in a defensive coordinator in Austin Armstrong that had a bottom 5 defense one of his seasons, into a group of a very young defensive coordinator, into a veteran group of defensive coaches. Just didn't work. It was oil and water. Sumrall is going to bring in an OC and a DC, and I think that's really how you're going to wait to judge the quality of John Sumrall. And really all of these guys is take a look at the staff. I've gone over it a million times, how important it is to get off on the right foot with staffing. So John has proven it on the field. The numbers are excellent for him across the board. They're not as good as at Tulane as they were at Troy. But one thing at Troy is defensively, he had an instant impact. Where he has struggled is offensively. So I think the defense, I know the defense will be done right. Okay. You look at his history and what I know, the defense will be fine. Don't get too far over your skis until the offensive coordinator gets announced for Florida. But to be clear, this is not the same thing as hiring Billy Napier. It's a very, very different person, very, very different scenario, very, very different level of discipline. Who do we want to go to next? Silverfield or Gold?
Yeah. I'm Ellis. First off, Ellis, you got any questions? Because you and Pete, this is great stuff.
I do.
Yeah.
Bartoo, where the hell were you when I was told I had to take the Kent State job because Lou Holtz wanted to hire his son to replace me, and that if I didn't take the Kent State job, I was not coming back to Notre Dame? Where were you? Kent State was coaching death because Ellis, we had better jobs as coordinators at some of these places, yet the staffing is coaching matters. And the job that you do, Dave, I'm just going to say this. It's amazing the job that you do and just how impactful you are to the success of the head coach. The head coach has got to have a great staff.
Yeah.
But damn it, Bartoo, where were you in 1990? Holy hell.
Yeah. He was in college.
No, he wasn't. He was in that moose stand trying to get moose.
Elk.
Oh, elk, moose, what the hell?
Where'd he go?
They all got big
Antlers. We lost him. Calling Bartoo. That isn't the staffing part of it. You're right. It's okay. Well, now Ellis but they'll be back. But Pete, you're right. Staffing. It's like building a portfolio. If you don't, you better have some growth and income stocks, some mid cap, some small cap. You better have stocks that pay dividends in a flat market or in a declining market, because you can reinvest dividends and capital gains. That keeps the blood flowing. Man, Bartoo is back with us. There he is. That question blew the wire.
No, it was, yeah. I could barely hear it. There was a problem with my audio end, so I just I had to reboot. So sorry about that, Brandon.
Gotcha.
1990. Where were you?
Exactly.
Well, okay, Ellis, jump in here with a question for Dave Bartoo. This is great stuff, and so much. Thank you all so much for watching, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. Share us, like us. Cannot thank you enough, Coach Johnson.
Well, I don't have any questions. I'm soaking it in, and I remember right before you came on, Dave, Duffy was talking about when Lane did this or something else. Well, we were on a week ago, or either 2 weeks ago, I can't remember, and you said all these things are already done.
Yep.
It's just a matter of this, that, and the other. The other thing you said that was very interesting, because I found it to be almost unbelievable, but you said in so many, I don't know if it was 36 times or whatever number of times you've been involved in these, no leaks, 0 leaks.
Nope.
And I couldn't believe that, because it just
no.
Coaches about like women at a Tupperware party. Okay, telephone, telegraph, tell the damn coach. It's just, we're terrible, and it's the way things fly around. You never know what to believe.
Yeah, well, I think that's it. You never know what to believe. There's always somebody telling the truth, but there is just this cloud of BS, right? I mean, it's just walking onto a dairy farm and the stench is awful, but somewhere in there's always a hint of truth in something. But I can tell you unequivocally this time around, again, the level of leaks just weren't there, right? There were some people that guessed names right, but they also guessed 18 other names along with John Sumrall, and 16 other guys along with Ryan Silverfield, So, just because you put every name on the board and one of them happened to be right doesn't mean you actually knew what was really going on. And I will be straight up honest with you. I mean, I work side by side with athletic directors, side by side with head coaches. I feed these guys information constantly, right? Same thing. People on the playoff committee. I send so many reports Sunday morning before you guys even wake up, right? But the actual level of detail I get back is almost nothing. Almost nothing. I barely have enough puzzle pieces to try to put it together. I'm still guessing, and I have a direct line. So, man, just folks, don't get too hyped up about what you hear about Lane or John or Alex or James Franklin or any of these guys. It is 99% BS every single time. I promise you.
Hey,
All right,
Dave,
Dave.
did the SEC just get better with these hires? And especially, what's the chance of Will Stein getting to Kentucky? Did the SEC coaching tree just get better with these four hires? Obviously, the Lane deal, yes, but the
Yeah,
other
well,
three,
the Lane deal, yes, but that didn't really improve the SEC because he was already there,
Yeah.
right?
right? So you
Yeah, but I
exchange,
think he's at a place now where his level of competence is going to be jacked up even higher.
The,
I mean,
the
oh,
reason the
you
reason I asked,
cannot compare, except on a given Saturday, you can't compare LSU and Ole Miss to be in the same place.
and the reason I asked that question is you have said all along the SEC is a good conference, but to
right,
win national championships right now they're not going to do it. So, Mike, the reason for my question is, do we make obviously Lane going to LSU gives LSU another chance to be in the national championship hunt, but you got
right.
Florida and Auburn. I mean, have these programs gotten in Arkansas? Have these programs gotten better with these three hires?
I think the fans would like to think so, and I think it remains to be seen. I think Lane is in a better, like what Ellis is saying. Lane is in a better spot. He is never winning a national title at Ole Miss. Their talent level isn't good enough. LSU, it is now. Let me have a little caveat though about the whole SEC. Okay, the whole SEC. Everybody keeps talking about, wow, look at the parity and look, it's the toughest conference and all these good teams. No, today's SEC is not good compared to yesterday's SEC. It's not even close. Okay, I think one of the come to Jesus discussions that people need to have about the SEC is they've eaten their own young with expansion. Okay, the greed got them because now all that talent isn't condensed in 2, 3, or 4 programs. The money's spread out across the South, and so yes, you have a more talented conference than other places, but it is spread thin like butter on hot toast. And right now, you don't have a good team in the SEC. Okay, tomorrow night. There are going to be 15 teams in the top 15. 2 teams of those 15 have a bad loss, meaning they lost to a team under 500 somewhere along the way. One of them is Alabama. One of them is Texas. Okay. There are 15 teams in the top 15 this week, right? And of all the SEC teams, okay, there's going to be 7 of them. Only 2 have a top 10 offense or defense. And one of them's name is Vanderbilt.
Yep.
Think about that. One of the best teams, one of the best unit, literally the highest graded unit in the SEC is from their worst recruiter. If that was the Big 12, you'd be screaming the Big 12 sucks. If that was the ACC, you'd be screaming the ACC sucks. If that was the Big 10, and if that was, if that was Rutgers leading the Big 10 in offense or defense, you'd be going, the Big 10 sucks. Right? But no, the SEC doesn't suck. The SEC doesn't suck. No, that's just competitive balance, Dave. That's competitive balance. Okay, so this SEC conference is not very good relative to past SEC. Okay, now are they good relative to the rest of the country? Yeah, they got a lot of talent, but their performance on offense and defense, you take away that Oklahoma defense, the only defense in the top 10 in the country right now from the SEC is Oklahoma. That's it. Okay. Not Georgia isn't top 15. Alabama isn't top 25. Ole Miss isn't top 40. A&M isn't top 70. Okay. So, you were talking about getting better. There's a level, and I think the talent caps that level. So you go over to Arkansas. Does Ryan Silverfield grade out better than Sam Pittman right now for his time? They're really, really close. I think on paper the exchange is pretty even. But with Arkansas now, you lose Bobby Petrino. Okay, so the question is, and I'm going to say this over and over, and I'm beat everybody over the head with it: who's going to be his offense and defensive coordinator? Right? He had a huge talent advantage at Memphis. He had the best collection of recruited and transfer portal talent in the AAC. Did he ever make a AAC title game? Did he win an AAC title?
You won.
I don't know. One? Okay. Cool. All right. So we got to an AAC title game, 1-1. So I think the big question is Arkansas's improvement. I think a lot of that is going to depend on his Rolodex and how good the quality of the offense and defense it brings in. Arkansas was the worst defense in the SEC, one of the worst in the country this year. And so not only do players need to be upgraded there, that whole coaching staff needs to switch over. I don't see Petrino sticking around to call plays for him because Ryan, given his age, Petrino, given his age and where he wants to go with his career, I think that's oil and water. You're playing with fire. Cramsey is offensive coordinator at Memphis, is one of the most underrated play callers in the country. Love that guy. So I'd love to see him come down. But we'll see what happens there. Auburn with Alex Golsh. The big question I have is the entire defensive staff staying? Right? Because at one point, this was a top 10 defense. Auburn has the players on defense. All they were lacking was the offense. And Alex had a top 20 scoring efficiency offense at South Florida this year. Okay. But that's his first one in the top 50 in his 3 years of calling plays. So Auburn is betting on a guy that has had 12 good games. That's what they're betting on. Okay. His first 2 years at South Florida were very under average. Okay. Wins above replacement were negative, to quote a baseball term. And so I think the Auburn hire is really, 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 really dependent on Durkin and the entire defense and that roster sticking around. If it doesn't, then I have a hard time saying Auburn improved today relative to
There's conversation that Rodney Gardner's going back to Auburn. He's leaving Tennessee, which I think he's an ace recruiter.
Yeah, but something recruiting has changed though. It's really but he's an ace. Is he an ace evaluator? Right. And if his job is, the recruiter, the closer needs to be handing out the NIL money. The coaches need to do the evaluation.
Rodney can do all three.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And I'm not saying that against Rodney, Pete. So much I'm saying that for listeners to understand that the relationships are important. But if you don't have the money and the right evaluation to put a value on where that money goes, then that relationship isn't any good. So it's one thing to build relationships, which is still very important, but it's another thing to be able to evaluate and then have them at the right value point for the money you have available.
Hey, Ellis and Pete and Dave, Brendan said we can go extra innings, a few extra minutes. So while we're at this, I want to think about Alex Golsh. He came in, apparently he got the job at 1:00 Sunday morning. I've been told by somebody that definitely knows at Auburn that if Durkin goes, the defense pretty much goes with him. So I'm with you. But that may have been what I was told in the Sumrall deal was Auburn was trying to demand too much, that he would keep this guy and this person and this administrator. And he was like, I'm the head coach.
Yeah.
You can't do that. And I would be the same way. And Ellis and Pete, you've been head coaches. Ellis, weigh in on that real quick. And then I want Dave's. But by the way, there are a lot of people that are mad, but I'm going to tell you what, Perry Mason is one of my favorite guys. So is Chuck McKenzie. We stream on the Buddy Martin feed. We're on a lot of different feeds, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. This is the all SEC show. So we're covering all 16 schools. We got 16 kids. But Ellis, jump back in here. This is great stuff on this Monday morning, December 1st, with the great panel of geniuses.
Well, I think he'd be wise to look at what Durkin did and try to keep him.
Yeah.
But that should be totally the head coach's decision.
Yeah.
And if you ever let an athletic director or anybody else sits in the boardroom call you in and say, you're going to have to fire these two people, or, if the first time you ever do it, you don't run the program anymore. And I would not, if that's what happened, I don't blame Sumrall at all. If they said, you ought to look at this, and then he just said, I'm not even thinking about it, then I would second guess that. So anyhow, it is the head coach's prerogative. You don't want to work somewhere if you're not in control of your coaching staff and your strength staff, your recruiting staff. If you got to answer to somebody that's not in that room every day and responsible, their job ain't on the line when yours is, that's not a way to run a program.
Yeah. And Dave, I want to say too, that totally agree with two guys. Pete and Ellis have done it, and Dave, you do it too. You have to be in charge. You can't be having people micromanage and pencil whip you, can you, Dave?
No. I mean, and one of the things I've been trying to focus on more and more in my career when I'm dealing with this is the psychology of putting a staff together, right? And so, look, Durkin is a 4-star graded defensive coordinator. He was very good before this year. The staff was very good at Auburn, and so what they've done is absolutely no surprise. But just because a guy's good on paper doesn't mean he's going to get along with the new guy, right? So, let's say this is actually, if that actually happened, if one of the requirements of taking the Auburn job was keeping Durkin and the staff and the roster together, look, Durkin is a veteran coach, and Pete and Ellis can really chime in on this. And I know we're running low on time right now, but we're going to put a pin on this because I think this is something that should be talked about with all staffs going forward with the SEC. But Alex has only been a head coach for 3 years. He has been marginally successful at South Florida. How well, DJ, remember who he was just working for? DJ was just working for a veteran guy. He working for Hugh Freeze. Hugh hired him, right? There's an emotional connection there, and there's a veteran respect there. When you have a new head coach with just 3 years who's now in charge, how well is that veteran head coach going to want to listen and blend with this new guy that's been told, well, now he's your boss. He didn't hire you. He has less experience than you. You probably believe you're a better head coach than he is, but you got to get along with him. And Alex, you got to get along with this old guy who wants to bite your head off. So, when you're looking at staffs, folks, take a look at the veteran rookie makeup of these things.
Well, let me just say this. I recommend take some of these notes and chill gummies.
Yeah. Hey, Ellis, what were you going to say? Go ahead.
Go back and think when Terry Bowden came from Samford, and the Auburn staff had been really, really good, and Wayne stayed, was running the defense, and they started to clash about 2-3 years into it.
Yep.
And that's when they had to make a change, and he brought in brother, Bill Oliver. It's a very similar situation, Dave, and I don't think either one of them were wrong. They're both really good coaches and proved it as time went on. But that same similar scenario happened right there at Auburn.
Hey, Dave,
there can only be one lion in the den, folks. One lion in the den.
Dave, question for you from Perry Mason, great citrus farmer down in Lake Placid, Florida. I love this guy. He's such a gentleman. He wants to know, Dave Bartoo, could you tell me who you think right now the early leaders in the clubhouse are for OC and DC at the University of Florida, home of the Fighting Gators?
I cannot confirm nor deny exactly who the OC and DC are going to be.
He knows.
You know. Can you? I mean, is he tall or short?
Oh my God, dude! I'm everybody's tall compared to me, brother. Everybody's tall compared to me. No, it's don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Citrus Farmer. I got your back, buddy. I got your back.
Can you let us know?
Send me some grapefruits. I need some grapefruits.
And by the way, we had such an honor to do it yesterday. Buddy Martin's a badass. Brendan's dad. I love. He's my writing mentor. He'll take your head off if you don't do it right. And Buddy, I hope Buddy gets an audience to sit down and talk to John Sumrall. John Hartwell was on with us yesterday. John's known John Sumrall since John was in high school at Grissom up in Huntsville. But Sitting down with Buddy would be like back in the day, sitting on the front porch with Ben Hill Griffin, like Charlie Pell did, for 5 hours one Sunday afternoon, talking about any and everything but football. But when he left after eating swamp cabbage and talking about life, Ben Hill Griffin wrote the largest check to date ever in Gator Athletics history. Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. It pays off. Relationships are everything. Dave, we got a couple of minutes before we got to wrap up.
Okay.
A lot of chatter out there. Staffing and everything like that's going on now. It's like, so kind of give us sort of a hint of what's going to be coming up.
Well, you got the Kentucky job. Look, Eli stuck around. Ole Miss, Lane let this hang out there long enough for Pete to get his staff together. And so there's continuity at Ole Miss. So you're not going to have roster turnover there. It sounded like Charlie Weiss is going with Lane, but Lane calls the plays, so who cares? So our question mark then is going to be who's going to be the offensive coordinator for Pete Golding, and
Bobby Petrino.
Yeah, is there a connectivity between Bobby and Pete at all?
Yes, they've known each other for a long time.
Okay, that's great. That's
That's one of the names. No, that's just one of the names I've heard in the last 24 hours.
That's cool. But the one question I always ask is, what's the connectivity? Right?
They've known each other. Yeah, they've known each other for a long time.
Okay, and look what Bobby did at the Arkansas offense very, very quickly. Now Bobby's proven it well enough. I'm sure he wants a head coaching job. And he should get a shot this time around because there's a lot of dominoes out there. Kentucky, I don't know what the hell the Kentucky's going to do. I don't. That'll. There's nothing sexy out there. Hell, there was really after Lane and maybe even John, there was nothing on paper that's sexy out there. At least that's what it seems. So you still got staffing there. You've got South Carolina needing to replace their offensive line coach and their offensive coordinator, not necessarily in that order. Don't like what I'm hearing for options there right now. And what else do we got going on? Got a lot of hubbub at Tennessee, but I don't see a change happening in from that standpoint. Eli just upped. The one staff spot you might want to watch out for, though, is my favorite offensive coordinator in the SEC that should be a head coach, and that's Colin Klein at Texas A&M. I don't know how much longer Kleinman has at Kansas State. Colin Klein was quarterback at Kansas State, cut his teeth at Kansas State under Bill Snyder, who is a bloody hell generational coaching genius. He has taken A&M to their best offense they've ever had. And so I think Colin Klein, of all the guys in the SEC for the coaching carousel, up next for head coach, that's the guy I got circled leaving next.
All right, guys, we run out of time, unfortunately. The Carol Burnett show. I'm so glad we had this time together. This was awesome. Cannot thank y'all enough. Thank you more than you know. We'll do it again next week. Wow, December 1st. We're just getting started. Crank it up, everybody. It's going to get a lot better. Look, our sponsors, we're so blessed to have them. Landers Ford, they're open Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Ask for Brad Bellamy, the general manager. Make it simple. Keep bottom line, it's so easy to work with him. Cars, trucks, and SUVs. Just talk to him. He'll walk you through the process. Service department will pick you up, bring you in round trip transportation. Hewlett and Dunn Boot and Clothing Company is right down the street from Landers Ford. Go get you a new truck, drive to Hewlett and Dunn, get you a pair of boots, get you a Barber jacket, Filson shirt, some Filson luggage, STS, Pendleton, Schaefer, men's and women's fashions, all the luggage, you name it, they've got it. Open every day of the week through Christmas, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Sundays, 1 to 5 p.m. Ask for Charles Hall, J.M. Huffman, Raven Carpenter, Lydia, Laura, the whole people out there. You'll love them. Rumble Boxing. How you fight is how you live. Union and McLean, Midtown Memphis. Open every day of the week. And hempforpros.com. These are the night gummies. They work. Take you 30 minutes before you go to bed. You'll sleep a full 8 hours. Hey, most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. We're the most blessed people in the history of the world. Executive producer, Brendan Martin. Rob Brown. Have a great day, everybody.